The research ship Cosmic Dawn moved slowly through the dark void of space, its hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. Dr. Zara Vexthani stood at the main viewing window, her 4 eyes scanning the asteroid field ahead. She was a Catherian, tall and elegant with blue-tinted skin and graceful movements. As the lead scientist of this expedition, she carried the hopes of 12 different alien species who wanted to understand the mysteries of the ancient cosmos. The asteroid field they approached was unlike anything the galactic community had ever seen. The rocks floated in perfect formation, each one crystallized and glowing with an inner light that defied explanation. According to their instruments, this debris field was over 13 billion years old, making it older than most known galaxies. It existed in a region of space that should have been empty, a place where nothing should have survived the early chaos of the universe. Chief Science Officer Veltar emerged from his workstation, his 6 arms moving independently as he operated multiple control panels at once. The hegemony officer had spent decades studying cosmic anomalies, but even he seemed puzzled by what they had found. His species was known throughout the galaxy for their logical minds and precise scientific methods, yet the readings from this place challenged everything they thought they knew about how the universe began. Lieutenant Jake Morrison watched the proceedings from his position near the communications array. He was the only human aboard the ship, sent by the Terran colonial fleet to observe and report back to Earth. Most of the alien crew treated him with polite indifference, seeing humans as a relatively young species with little to contribute to such advanced research. Jake didn't mind their attitude, as he found the work fascinating even if he couldn't fully understand all the complex theories being discussed. The ship's deep core scanner began producing unusual readings as they moved deeper into the asteroid field. Veltar's 6 arms worked furiously across his controls, trying to make sense of the data streaming across his screens. The readings showed something that shouldn't exist, something that made his logical mind struggle to accept what the instruments were telling him. Dr. Vexthani moved to stand beside him, her translator device converting her melodic Catherian speech into standard galactic language. She asked about the readings, and Veltar explained that the scanner had detected organic signatures buried deep within one of the larger crystallized asteroids. At first, he had dismissed the readings as equipment malfunction or contamination from their own ship, but the signals were too strong and too consistent to be explained away. The organic signatures showed cellular structures that didn't match any known species in the galactic database. This database contained genetic information from over 40,000 different life forms discovered across the galaxy, making it extremely unlikely that they had found something completely new. Yet the readings suggested exactly that, a form of life that had never been cataloged or studied by any known civilization. Jake found himself drawn to the conversation, despite knowing that his input would likely be ignored. He had studied xenobiology during his training, though his knowledge was basic compared to the experts around him. Still, something about the readings bothered him, a nagging feeling that he couldn't quite identify. The cellular structure patterns looked familiar in a way that made no sense given the age and location of the discovery. Dr. Vexthani ordered the deployment of extraction drones to investigate the anomalous readings. The drones were equipped with precision cutting tools and containment fields designed to safely remove samples from hazardous environments. As they watched through the viewing screens, the small robotic units approached the crystallized asteroid and began their careful work. The extraction process took several hours, with the drones slowly cutting through layers of crystal that had formed over billions of years. The material was incredibly hard, requiring the most advanced cutting tools available to make any progress. As they worked, the organic signatures grew stronger, confirming that something was indeed preserved within the crystal matrix. When the drones finally broke through to the source of the readings, the entire crew gathered around the main viewing screen to see what they had found. What they saw made everyone fall silent with shock and confusion. Suspended within the crystal, perfectly preserved and undamaged by the passage of time, was the body of a humanoid figure. The figure appeared to be male, roughly 30 years old, with features that looked remarkably similar to those of the human species. His clothing was unlike anything in the galactic database, made from materials that seemed to shift and shimmer even in the dim light of the extraction chamber. Most disturbing of all, preliminary scans suggested that the body showed no signs of decay despite being embedded in crystal for billions of years. Jake felt his heart racing as he stared at the screen. The resemblance to human physiology was unmistakable, from the bone structure to the facial features to the overall body proportions. Yet this was impossible, as human civilization was barely 50,000 years old according to all historical records. There was no way a human could be found in a place that predated the formation of Earth itself. Dr. Vexthani ordered immediate containment protocols and requested that the body be brought aboard for detailed analysis. The implications of this discovery were staggering, challenging fundamental assumptions about the timeline of galactic evolution and the origins of sapient life. If this truly was a human, it would rewrite everything they thought they knew about the history of the universe. Veltar began running genetic analysis protocols even before the body reached their laboratory. His instruments confirmed what their eyes had already told them, that the cellular structure was indeed human or something so close to human that the differences were negligible. The carbon dating results were even more shocking, showing an age that approached the theoretical beginning of the universe itself. As the crew prepared to conduct more detailed examinations, Jake found himself wondering how his own species could possibly be connected to something so ancient and mysterious. The discovery would need to be reported to Earth immediately, but he suspected that the authorities back home would have no better explanation for what they had found. The Cosmic Dawn continued its slow drift through the crystal asteroid field, its crew now focused on understanding a mystery that threatened to overturn everything they believed about the nature of life in the cosmos. Deep in their laboratory, the ancient human corpse waited silently, holding secrets that would soon reshape the destiny of every living being in the galaxy. The laboratory station Aurora Point received the Cosmic Dawn 3 days after the discovery. The massive research facility orbited a dead star, its gleaming corridors filled with the most advanced scientific equipment the galaxy could offer. Dr. Elena Vasquez waited in the main docking bay, her hands trembling slightly with anticipation. She had traveled here from Earth as soon as the preliminary reports reached Terran Command, bringing with her the most sophisticated genetic analysis tools humanity possessed. Jake Morrison helped transfer the crystallized corpse from the ship to the laboratory's secure containment unit. The body remained perfectly preserved, showing no signs of deterioration even after being removed from its ancient crystal tomb. Elena studied the figure through the transparent containment field, noting details that the initial scans had missed. The man's hair was dark brown, cut in a style that seemed both familiar and strange. His skin had a healthy appearance despite the impossible age, and his facial features were distinctly human in every measurable way. Dr. Vexthani introduced Elena to the rest of the research team, which had grown to include specialists from 8 different species. Each brought unique expertise and technology, creating a collaborative effort unlike anything seen before in galactic history. The hegemony had sent their finest cellular biologists, while the Crystal Collective contributed temporal analysis experts. Even the normally secretive Phantom Assembly had provided advanced scanning equipment for the investigation. The first genetic samples proved challenging to extract without damaging the corpse. Elena worked carefully with Veltar using micro-extraction, tools that could remove single cells without affecting the body's overall integrity. When they finally succeeded in getting usable samples, Elena began the painstaking process of DNA analysis using both human and alien technology to ensure accuracy. The results left Elena staring at her screens in complete bewilderment. The DNA was undeniably human, matching the basic genetic patterns found in all members of her species. However, the complexity was far beyond anything she had ever encountered. The genetic code contained modifications and enhancements that surpassed current human biotechnology by what appeared to be thousands of years. The modifications were so advanced that Elena could barely understand their purpose, let alone how they had been created. Commander Lisa Roberts arrived at Aurora Point 2 days later, bringing with her classified files from the deepest archives of Terran Science Division. Lisa was a stern woman with gray hair and sharp eyes who had spent her career dealing with humanity's most sensitive discoveries. She reviewed Elena's findings with growing concern, occasionally referencing documents that Jake was not allowed to see. Lisa revealed that Earth scientists had been working on theoretical human genetic modifications for decades using computer models to predict how the human genome might evolve or be artificially enhanced. The genetic markers found in the ancient corpse matched perfectly with theoretical models that scientists believed could only exist in simulation. According to all known laws of biology and evolution, such modifications should have been impossible to achieve without technology that humanity wouldn't develop for centuries. Dr. Kethelin joined the team on the 5th day of analysis, bringing with him equipment that seemed to phase in and out of visible reality. The Crystal Collective physicist was an expert in temporal mechanics, a field of science that most species found too dangerous to pursue seriously. His crystalline body reflected light in strange patterns as he worked, and his voice sounded like wind chimes when he spoke through the translation devices. Kethelin began scanning the corpse for temporal anomalies, using instruments that measured the flow of time itself around the body. His findings added another layer of impossibility to the mystery. The bones contained traces of chronoton particles, exotic matter that could only exist in regions where time itself had been severely distorted. These particles were so rare that most scientists had never seen them outside of theoretical equations. Elena worked alongside Dr. Silvana, a Cytherian biologist whose 4 arms allowed her to operate multiple instruments simultaneously. Together, they discovered that the corpse's cellular structure showed signs of advanced life extension technology. The cells appeared to be locked in a state of perfect preservation, not frozen or dead, but somehow suspended between life and death. The technology responsible was so sophisticated that even their combined expertise could barely detect its presence. The team realized they were looking at evidence of time travel on a scale that challenged everything they understood about physics. The chronoton particles suggested that the corpse had traveled through time, but the energy requirements for such a journey should have been impossible for any known civilization to achieve. The genetic modifications indicated that whoever had created this person possessed technology that surpassed even the most advanced current civilizations. Jake found himself spending long hours in the observation area, staring at the ancient human and trying to understand what it meant for his species. The implications were staggering, suggesting that humanity's role in the galaxy might be far more significant than anyone had imagined. If humans had somehow existed billions of years ago with advanced technology, what had happened to that civilization? And why were modern humans starting over from primitive beginnings? Dr. Nathan Cross arrived from Earth with additional research materials and a team of human temporal theorists. Nathan was young but brilliant, known for his unconventional approaches to understanding time and causality. He immediately began working with Kethelin to understand the temporal implications of the discovery, using human intuition combined with crystal collective precision to explore possibilities that neither species could investigate alone. The analysis revealed that the corpse represented just the beginning of something much larger. The genetic modifications included what appeared to be memory storage capabilities, suggesting that the person's consciousness might still be preserved in some form within the cellular structure. More disturbing still, the modifications seemed designed to activate under specific conditions, as if the ancient human had been waiting for something or someone to trigger a predetermined response. As word of the discovery spread through the galactic community, Elena noticed increased security around Aurora Point. Ships from various species began arriving, each claiming scientific interest in the findings. However, the growing military presence suggested that the political implications of an ancient human civilization were becoming as important as the scientific discoveries. Elena continued her work, knowing that each new finding brought them closer to understanding a truth that would reshape everything they thought they knew about humanity's place in the universe. The ancient corpse held secrets that went far beyond simple genetic analysis, secrets that would soon force the galaxy to confront the possibility that humans were not the young species they appeared to be. Elena discovered the neural implants during her 7th day of detailed scanning. The devices were so small and perfectly integrated with the brain tissue that they had initially appeared to be natural cellular structures only when she used the most advanced microscopic analysis equipment did their artificial nature become clear. The implants were made from materials that didn't exist in any known periodic table, substances that seemed to bend light and energy in ways that defied current understanding of physics. Dr. Kethlin examined the implants with growing excitement, his crystalline form pulsing with different colors as he worked. He explained to the assembled team that the materials showed properties similar to temporal stabilization matrices, theoretical constructs that could maintain coherent information across vast spans of time. The implications were staggering, suggesting that the ancient human had been equipped with technology designed to preserve memories or data for billions of years. Jake watched nervously as the team prepared to attempt activation of the implants. The decision had not been made lightly, requiring approval from representatives of all 12 species involved in the research. Some argued that interfering with the implants could destroy valuable information, while others worried about potential dangers from unknown technology. Eventually, scientific curiosity won over caution, and Elena began the delicate process of providing power to the dormant devices. The activation sequence required precise energy levels and specific frequencies that took 3 days to determine. Dr. Vexthani worked alongside human and alien specialists to create a power coupling system that could safely interface with the unknown technology. When they finally succeeded in establishing a connection, the results exceeded everyone's expectations. A holographic figure materialized above the corpse, translucent and flickering but clearly recognizable as the same man lying in the containment field. The hologram wore different clothing, a uniform of some kind with symbols and markings that no one in the research team could identify. When he spoke, his words came out in perfect galactic standard language, suggesting that the implants included sophisticated translation capabilities. The holographic man identified himself as Captain Alex Harper of the Earth Temporal Defense Force, and the date he provided was 2157 according to Earth's calendar system. Elena felt her heart racing as she realized this meant the message had been recorded over 200 years in the future from her own time period. The implications of this revelation sent ripples of confusion and excitement through the assembled researchers. Alex Harper's message began with an explanation that seemed almost impossible to believe. He described a future Earth where humanity had developed advanced temporal technology and discovered that they were not the first intelligent species in the universe, but rather the descendants of an even more ancient human civilization. According to Harper, early humans had achieved technological advancement so far beyond current understanding that they became the universe's first temporal guardians. The holographic captain explained that his team had been sent back in time to prevent a cosmic catastrophe that would have erased all sentient life from existence. The mission required them to travel to the very beginning of the universe, to a time when reality itself was still forming and unstable. They had succeeded in their goal but became trapped in the primordial cosmos, unable to return to their own time period. Harper's message revealed that the ancient human civilization had possessed technology that allowed them to seed the universe with the conditions necessary for life to evolve. They had carefully guided cosmic development, ensuring that planets would form in the right locations and that the building blocks of life would be distributed throughout the galaxy. Modern humanity, according to Harper, were the descendants of refugees from this original civilization who had escaped to a safer time period. Dr. Nathan Cross listened with growing amazement as Harper provided coordinates to 12 other locations across the galaxy where similar temporal anchors had been placed. Each site contained evidence of humanity's ancient intervention in cosmic evolution, hidden markers left behind by the original human civilization. The coordinates pointed to locations in distant galaxies, some so far away that current technology could barely detect them. The message included detailed technical specifications for locating and activating the other temporal anchors. Harper explained that each site contained different pieces of information, together forming a complete picture of humanity's true cosmic heritage. He warned that the knowledge contained in these sites would be necessary for humanity's survival, as the cosmic threats his civilization had fought were cyclical in nature. Elena recorded every word of Harper's message while Dr. Vexthani worked to copy the technical data being transmitted by the implants. The information flow was enormous, containing detailed star charts, temporal calculations, and genetic modification procedures that would take years to fully understand. The implants seemed to contain the collected knowledge of an entire advanced civilization. Jake found himself struggling to accept the implications of what they were learning. According to Harper's message, modern humans were not primitive newcomers to the galaxy, but rather the inheritors of the universe's oldest and most advanced civilization. The rapid technological development that humanity had experienced in recent centuries wasn't natural evolution, but rather genetic programming that had been activated by their discovery of these ancient sites. The holographic captain's final words carried an ominous warning about the future. He explained that the cosmic threats his civilization had fought would return as they appeared in regular cycles spanning billions of years. Entities from parallel dimensions would attempt to consume the universe's life force, and only a united effort by all sentient species could hope to resist them. The ancient human technology scattered across the galaxy would be essential for mounting an effective defense. As Harper's message concluded, the hologram began to fade and flicker. The captain's final words expressed hope that future humans would prove worthy of their heritage and would use the ancient knowledge wisely. The implants powered down automatically after the message ended, but Dr. Kethlin confirmed that they still contained vast amounts of additional data that could be accessed with the right techniques. Commander Lisa Roberts immediately began making secure communications to Earth, knowing that the information they had discovered would need to reach the highest levels of human government. The revelation that humanity's ancestors had been cosmic guardians would fundamentally change how humans saw themselves and their role in the galaxy. More importantly, the warning about returning cosmic threats meant that preparation would need to begin immediately. Elena looked at the ancient corpse with new understanding, realizing that Captain Alex Harper represented far more than a mysterious archaeological discovery. He was a messenger from humanity's forgotten past, carrying knowledge that would determine the fate of all life in the universe. The news of Captain Harper's message spread through the galactic community faster than anyone had expected. Within hours of Commander Roberts sending her report to Earth, encrypted communications began flowing between the major powers of the galaxy. Elena watched through the laboratory windows as more ships arrived at Aurora Point, their hulls bearing the markings of species she had never seen before. The peaceful research station was rapidly becoming the center of galactic attention. The Vorthek Empire responded first, sending a battle cruiser filled with their finest warriors and scientists. The Vorthek had always viewed humans with suspicion, seeing their rapid expansion and technological growth as a potential threat to established galactic order. Now that humans appeared to be the descendants of the universe's first advanced civilization, that suspicion turned into open hostility. Ambassador Kralthex demanded immediate access to all research data and threatened economic sanctions against any species that refused to share the ancient human technology. Dr. Vexthani found herself caught between competing interests as more alien delegations arrived. The Altarian Federation sent peaceful negotiators who proposed joint research efforts and shared benefits from any discoveries. Their representatives spoke of unity and cooperation, believing that such ancient knowledge should belong to all species rather than any single group. However, their peaceful words were backed by a fleet of heavily armed science vessels that took position around the station. The militant Ziran consortium arrived with their typical aggressive approach, claiming that the discovery site fell within their sphere of influence according to ancient territorial agreements. Their war leader, General Vexamur, argued that any technology found in Xeran space belonged to their people by right of conquest. The Xeran military began establishing defensive positions around the asteroid field, preparing to fight anyone who challenged their claim. Jake Morrison spent his time monitoring communications between the various factions, growing increasingly worried about the mounting tensions. He could see that the galaxy was dividing into opposing camps, with some species supporting human claims to the ancient technology while others demanded equal access or outright control. The peaceful research mission was becoming a powder keg that could explode into galactic warfare. Admiral Kevin Walsh arrived from Earth with a fleet of Terran warships, just as the situation reached its breaking point. The Admiral was a veteran of several colonial conflicts and understood both diplomacy and military strategy. He immediately established a defensive perimeter around Aurora Point and began negotiations with the various alien factions, trying to prevent open warfare while protecting human interests in the discovery. Elena continued her research, despite the chaos surrounding the station, making a discovery that changed everything. While attempting to access more data from Harper's neural implants, she found that the ancient technology responded only to human genetic signatures. When alien researchers tried to interface with the devices, nothing happened, but when humans touched the control surfaces, the technology activated immediately. This biological lock meant that only humans could access the ancient knowledge, giving them a significant advantage in the growing conflict. Dr. Susan Blake arrived from Earth as part of Admiral Walsh's fleet, bringing with her expertise in quantum physics and ancient technology analysis. Susan had spent years studying theoretical temporal mechanics and was one of the few humans qualified to understand the advanced science behind Harper's message. She immediately began working with Elena to unlock more of the implant data, discovering that the biological locks were far more sophisticated than anyone had realized. The ancient human technology didn't just respond to human DNA, but actually required specific genetic markers that existed only in certain bloodlines. Elena found that she could access basic functions, but Jake Morrison showed much stronger compatibility with the advanced systems. When Jake placed his hands on the control interfaces, the technology responded with enthusiasm, displaying information and options that remained hidden from other users. Susan's analysis revealed that the biological locks were designed to prevent the ancient technology from falling into the wrong hands. The original human civilization had learned from bitter experience that advanced weapons and temporal manipulation could be catastrophically dangerous if misused. The genetic locks ensured that only their descendants could access the full capabilities of the ancient systems, creating a natural safeguard against abuse. The discovery of the human-only access sent shockwaves through the assembled alien factions. The Vorthic Empire immediately demanded that humans share all extracted data, threatening to take it by force if necessary. The Xeran Consortium began mobilizing additional fleets, preparing for what they saw as an inevitable conflict over access to universe-changing technology. Even the peaceful Altarian Federation began making subtle threats about the consequences of human monopolization of ancient knowledge. Elena and her team made another startling discovery when they began conducting detailed scans of the ancient asteroid field. The initial corpse was not unique, as deeper sensor sweeps revealed dozens of similar preservation sites throughout the crystallized debris. Each site contained a perfectly preserved human from the original timeline, and preliminary scans suggested that each held different pieces of the larger puzzle about humanity's cosmic role. Dr. Kethlin worked with Jake to map the locations of all the preserved humans, discovering that their positions formed complex geometric patterns that seemed to have astronomical significance. The pattern pointed toward specific star systems and galactic regions, suggesting that the ancient humans had created a vast network of information storage sites across the universe. Each preserved individual was essentially a living library, containing knowledge that would take centuries to fully understand. The realization that Aurora Point contained an entire tomb of ancient human guardians sent the galactic community into a frenzy of activity. Military fleets from a dozen species converged on the area, each determined to claim some portion of the ancient knowledge for themselves. Admiral Walsh found himself commanding a small human fleet against overwhelming alien forces, all while trying to protect the irreplaceable archaeological site. Elena watched the military build-up with growing concern, knowing that the preserved humans represented far more than just advanced technology. They were the last remnants of humanity's original civilization, containing memories and experiences from the universe's earliest days. If fighting broke out around Aurora Point, these irreplaceable artifacts of human heritage could be destroyed forever, taking with them the keys to understanding humanity's true destiny among the stars. Dr. Rachel Kim arrived at Aurora Point during the tense standoff between the assembled fleets, bringing with her experimental consciousness transfer technology that had never been tested on such an ancient scale. Rachel was a specialist in human brain patterns and neural networks, and she believed that the preserved humans might contain more than just stored data. Her theory suggested that their consciousness could still exist within the quantum structures of their modified brains, waiting for the right conditions to reawaken. Elena watched nervously as Rachel prepared her equipment in the main laboratory. The consciousness researcher had convinced Admiral Walsh that attempting to communicate directly with the preserved humans was their best hope for understanding the full scope of the ancient technology. The military situation outside was deteriorating rapidly, with Vorthok and Zirin fleets taking increasingly aggressive positions around the station. Rachel began her work by connecting her consciousness interface to Captain Harper's neural implants, using quantum resonance patterns to establish a direct link with whatever remained of his mind. The process was dangerous, as human consciousness had never been successfully interfaced with technology this advanced. Jake Morrison volunteered to serve as a backup operator, his strong genetic compatibility with the ancient systems making him the ideal candidate to maintain the connection if something went wrong. The first attempts produced only static and fragmented images, brief flashes of memory that showed glimpses of an impossible future. Rachel saw vast cities floating in space, humans working alongside machines that seemed to think and feel, and technologies that bent the laws of physics in ways that current science couldn't explain. The memories were so advanced and alien that they threatened to overwhelm her human mind with concepts too complex to understand. Dr. Susan Blake worked alongside Rachel to stabilize the consciousness interface, using her knowledge of quantum mechanics to filter the data flow into manageable portions. As they refined their techniques, the images became clearer and more coherent. They began to see Harper's final mission in detail, watching as he and his team traveled back through time to the very beginning of the universe, fighting against entities that existed outside normal reality. The breakthrough came when Rachel successfully established a two-way communication link with Harper's consciousness. The ancient captain's awareness stirred within the quantum matrix of his preserved brain, slowly awakening after billions of years of dormancy. His first words through the interface confirmed what they had begun to suspect, that his death had not been permanent, but rather a form of temporal stasis designed to preserve his knowledge until his descendants were ready to receive it. Harper explained that all the preserved humans had been placed in similar stasis, their consciousness transferred to quantum substrates that allowed them to exist as energy patterns within their own neural networks. The process had been developed as a last resort, a way to ensure that critical knowledge would survive even if their physical civilization was destroyed. The awakening process could only be triggered by humans with the right genetic markers, ensuring that the ancient knowledge would remain safe until the proper time. Jake found himself drawn deeper into the consciousness network as more of the preserved humans began to awaken. Each individual brought unique memories and expertise from humanity's original golden age, creating a collective intelligence that spanned billions of years of experience. The awakened ancients shared their knowledge freely, showing Jake visions of technologies and discoveries that would take modern science centuries to redevelop independently. The ancient humans revealed the true nature of the cosmic threat that had forced them to sacrifice their civilization. Every 14 billion years, entities from parallel dimensions attempted to break through into normal reality, seeking to consume the life force of entire universes. These dimensional parasites had destroyed countless realities before humanity's ancestors learned to fight them, developing temporal weapons and reality manipulation technology, specifically designed to repel such invasions. Captain Harper's consciousness, now fully awakened, explained that the cyclical nature of the threat meant that the dimensional entities would return soon. Their last invasion had been stopped only through the sacrifice of humanity's entire original civilization, buying time for new species to evolve and develop the strength needed to face the coming darkness. The ancient knowledge hidden throughout the galaxy was humanity's gift to the future, providing the tools necessary to mount an effective defense. Elena watched in amazement as Jake's interaction with the ancient consciousness network began to trigger changes in his own genetic structure. The dormant modifications that all modern humans carried were activating, awakening abilities that had been locked away for billions of years. Jake began to demonstrate enhanced cognitive abilities, able to process information at incredible speeds and understand concepts that had previously been beyond human comprehension. Dr. Rachel Kim discovered that the awakening process was spreading beyond Jake to other humans who came into contact with the ancient technology. Elena felt her own mind expanding as she worked with the consciousness interface, gaining access to memories and knowledge that belonged to humanity's forgotten past. The effect was gradual but profound, as if their species was remembering abilities they had never known they possessed. The awakened ancient humans shared a final revelation that changed everything the galactic community thought they knew about the universe. Modern humanity's rapid technological development over the past few centuries had not been natural evolution but rather genetic programming that activated when they discovered the first ancient sites. Every major breakthrough in human science had been guided by unconscious memories inherited from their ancient ancestors, preparing them for the day when they would need to reclaim their role as cosmic guardians. Admiral Walsh received reports from Earth that similar awakenings were beginning to occur among humans throughout the Terran colonies. The ancient genetic programming was spreading through the human population, granting enhanced abilities and access to technologies that surpassed anything the current galactic civilizations possessed. The implications were staggering, as humanity was rapidly evolving into something far beyond their current limitations. The assembled alien fleets found themselves facing a transformed situation as news of the human awakening spread throughout their command structures. The primitive species they had sought to control or eliminate was revealing itself to be the descendant of the universe's most advanced civilization. The ancient humans offered knowledge and alliance to those species, willing to work together against the coming dimensional threat, but made it clear that humanity would lead the defense effort. Jake Morrison, now serving as a bridge between ancient and modern consciousness, addressed the gathered representatives of the galactic community through Aurora Point's communication systems. He explained that the universe faced a threat that could only be defeated through unity and cooperation, with humanity providing the leadership and technology necessary to organize an effective resistance. The choice facing every species was simple: work together under human guidance to save all life in the universe, or face extinction when the dimensional entities returned to consume everything that existed.